Hello everyone, and welcome back to Rust Rocket Nation. Once again, my name is Junior. I believe last time I left you, I was saying I couldn't do much because I had lost my job and needed to find a new one. Well, I found a new one, and I got all my bills caught up and everything, so I can finally afford to buy parts again. Unfortunately, I'm still alive, so I'm gonna keep doing random dumb crap. On the RX-8, we got some of the O-rings to replace it, to replace the bad ones. They are here. I haven't started on that yet because I'm going to have to get a guidebook and figure out how to tear the engine down and all that stuff. So for now, I bought a lowering kit for the Ranger because I'm a smart man. Let's show you what I got. Alright, so first of all, cheap eBay lowering kit. I want to say it was probably $150, $160. Supposedly 3-inch drop on the front, 5-inch drop in the back. We have our two lowering springs for the front. We have the spring plate and flip kit for the back. We got new U-bolts. We got plenty of assorted bolts and nuts. And I went ahead and bought new shocks. They are not lowering shocks, they are stock shocks, but I figured having stock shocks is probably still better than having what I have now, which is a giant pile of rust that used to be a shock. I'll show you that. Yeah, somehow I don't think these were working too well. Anyway, that should be all we need to do a 3-inch drop in the front and a 5-inch drop in the back with the axle flip. Willie, my friend, is on his way over. He's actually lowered trucks before, so he knows more than I do, even though I understand pretty much how to do it. Figured having some backup wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm going to go ahead and get the front jacked up on jack stance and get the tires off, and I'll see you in a second. First of all, pretty sure that shock isn't good anymore.
Nah, it's fine. It's good.
It's good. And second of all, you want to tell the people about what you found?
Oh, that's a sway bar. Here, hold on. That's a sway bar. That is supposed to be connected there, and instead it's way up there, both sides, because you know Ford and their plastic sway bar links. Apparently a stock riding Ford Ranger broke those, so I can't imagine what a lowered one's gonna do.
I hope they have metal replacements. Besides jacking it up and taking the wheel off, bolt number 1 broke.
With a hard impact. Walmart
yeah,
special.
with a Walmart special. It just sheared off. This is, I believe, a good sign.
Yeah.
You catch your hair on fire?
I don't know if it caught it on fire, but it sure burned.
Because I feel it necessary to explain that last clip, that is an 1.125" nut that we can't get to because I don't have an 1.125" wrench. So we're trying to use a crescent wrench, which, so we're cutting the spring out of the way because I have new springs anyway. I'm assuming the crescent wrench is still not the right tool for the job.
No.
I can't wait for YouTube comments to call me an idiot.
It's fine. We know. They're not going to hurt my feelings. Shit.
That's the thing. I don't think any of them realize I know I'm an idiot. I just keep doing shit anyway.
Still poor. Still going to do shit my way. I don't give a fuck what some random person on the internet thinks.
It's not
I do care about my finners. Oh my god.
I was gonna say it's not my fault. AutoZone charges $23 for the right wrench.
What's the socket cost?
Oh yeah, we can get to it with a socket now. Let me look that up. But for just for the people watching, this is roughly how stretched out the spring was, right? Hold the other spring up. I think it's going to be a little bit lower.
Slightly.
How we got the socket in and how we're getting it out, because it won't fit between the spring, is to run it up and then out the hole in the top.
No big deal.
It worked.
It did in fact work.
Shock's on, lowering spring's on. That's one corner done. Well, shock's on. It's not tight, but he's fixing that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
But-
what?
That's also full droop, and
Yeah.
the other side is...
This is full droop stock suspension. We have jacked the other side up to where we think it'll ride because it's off the jack stand now. And I think, whoops, that's going to be real fun.
Yeah.
All right, other side was done. Pretty much the same as this one. Take shock off, cut the spring, put the shock on, new spring. Going down for the first time, lowered.
Is that jack stand far enough?
Hold on.
No. Driver's side. Driver's side. Looks like it's under the rock.
It's not under the rocker. But I'll move it just in case.
And we're touching. So that's... Oh, we're touching on one side. I forgot. Ford's weird.
I-beams.
Oh my. Being slightly concerned. Even more than slightly, I'm getting concerned about getting the jack up from under it, which is a good problem to have.
That is wonderful. I am so happy. No,
That camber.
we're gonna have to either A, cut that, or B, I'm gonna have to buy one that's not
Well,
bent.
how about, we're probably gonna have to do both.
Or both.
You need to replace this.
Yeah, you told me.
You're gonna need to buy some shims. She's cambered.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next morning. It got a little too dark. I drank a little too much, had a little too much fun. So we decided to call it last night on just doing the front. Willie's gonna come back over later on today and we're gonna do the back. But I realized, because I was having a little bit too much fun and we were blasting music and just working, that I didn't actually record most of it. I wasn't the best cinematographer, but that's fine. Basically all we did, let's see if I can get you up in there. All right, everything is, you can't see much there, everything's changed. We did cut the springs because the nut that holds the spring in place is 1 1/8 inches, and I bought a socket because it was about $15 cheaper than a wrench. So we cut the springs to get the socket in there. If you wanted to save the spring, you could use a wrench. I didn't really care about saving that spring. It was sitting on bump stops last night when we let it down, so I didn't take them off. I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. But we did cut them in half because they were seriously about 2 3/4, maybe 3 inches. So we cut them in half. And now, if I can position the camera correctly, there we go. I actually have some suspension travel, not a lot, but I didn't expect a lot, to be honest, but I have some. Everything is changed on the front. On the back, we are planning on, excuse me, all right, on the back, we were probably not going to be able to get those U-bolts off, just a guess. So we're probably going to end up cutting them, which is one of the reasons we went ahead and called it last night, because it was like 11 o'clock at night and I don't think my neighbors would appreciate me breaking out the grinder and cutting the U-bolts. The shocks are going to be pretty interesting. Maybe they'll come off, maybe they won't. We'll figure that out when we get into it. But oh, goodness. According to Willie, so I don't know if this is true or not, but we should be able to get the axle over the springs without taking the drive shaft off and without disconnecting a bunch of stuff. There should be just enough wiggle room to get it up on top of the springs. Worst case scenario, we drop the springs and then do it the right way, but I'm trying to do it the easy way instead of the right way. Also, don't mind my ramps, they're just wheel chocks. My e-brake don't work. So, I mean, that's about it. We still got the 2 new shocks, relocator plate, and the bolts and nuts. So I guess I'm gonna hop off here and I will see you all again when work begins on the back. And I just realized there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Yes, if you look, especially from the front, because it is twin I-beam suspension, as I expected, the tire's not sitting straight anymore on either side. I've been told that's not a super big deal. It'll affect tire wear, but not much beyond tire wear. They do make camber adjustment pins, I think it's bushings, camber adjustment bushings, that's what it is, that should bring it back in line. I'm gonna drive it for a little while, see how it feels, and if it needs those, I'll order those. But I knew that was gonna happen. I've been informed it'll be okay. I have been informed it'll be okay by the guy who has drove many trucks for so long I don't think he knows what an actual car drives like. But I have been informed it'll be okay. So we'll see. Alright, I'll get back to y'all in a minute. One more thing to mention before I forget again. Here's my stock, very, very broken shock. It has this nut right here to hold the shock in place while you tighten up the nut on top to hold the entire shock assembly in place. It also looks like the top part of that may be flattened for use with a wrench, if you can't get to that, I suppose. The cheap Chinese replacements we bought did not have that nut to keep the shock from spinning as you were trying to tighten it. So what we did is this little nub right here up top, we just slipped our nut on, well, we screwed our nut on, slipped a wrench onto it, and then on that nub right there we put a set of vice grips and just used a ratcheting wrench. So that ended up working for us. So if you need to do that, that should work for you too. Okay, so after much fighting, got shocks off. Mounts in there somewhere that is kind of still exists. I think technically it still exists. Willie went ahead and cut the U-bolts because it came with new ones. So now the axle is free and we are going to attempt to maneuver it on top of the springs. I'm almost certainly not going to record that because it's going to take both of us. But back in a sec. Okay, so had to pull the drive shaft because of course we did, and now we are having to pull the bump stops because the drum won't fit between that gap. Both of us have lost what little will to live we have.
And we only just started.
And yeah, it hasn't even been that long. This is gonna be fun. Apologies for the voice. It's a couple days later and I got sick as a dog. But me and Willie got the axle up over the leaf spring. We did end up having to cut the bump stops to get the brake disc brake drum through the gap there, and then fighting and prying and everything, but it came through. Beyond that, the plate at the bottom and the plate that makes this mount on the other side both had locator pins. I think we used the furthest one towards the front, the more centered one, and it ended up lining up properly. But fun thing happened. I thought it might. The 5-inch drop from the flip kit I bought is actually closer to like a 6 or perhaps even 7-inch drop. I'm assuming it's a 5-inch drop if you do it the right way. Drop the leaf springs and leave the bump stops, and it just sets on the bump stops, because right now with cut bump stops it bottoms out like pretty much constantly. So I had two thoughts on how to rectify that. The first would be an overload spring in the actual spring pack. The second one, which is what Willie suggested to me, is to just buy air shocks. These were supposed to be Monroe, I think. They were on Amazon for like 80 bucks. They have no name on them, and they definitely didn't ship from Monroe, so I'm sure they're just a cheap Chinese knockoff. But I got them in. I'm gonna try to raise that up to get some of the suspension travel back and see how that works out. All right, I got one of the air shocks on. I went to put the other one on. It's actually going okay. Almost like we had this apart a few days ago. But I just wanted to show, I know shocks have a bit overextension, but there it is at full extension. And that's with the axle sagging. That's how much it was compressed. And that's one of the reasons I had basically no suspension in the back. And also, you can kind of see there, I guess I was wrong. We used the furthest towards the back locator bolt, both on that plate and on that bar. All right, anyway, back to doing what I was doing. So according to the instructions, it's pretty simple. There's just airline, O-ring, and nut. Put the airline in, O-ring, and the nut, screw it in, tee them together using the T, and then you have your fill valve, which it says to route somewhere you can get to. I'm either going to leave it dangling for now or use one of the convenient holes in my bed from, Lord, I don't even remember what the hell that's from. But it seems pretty simple, seems pretty self-explanatory. Can't wait to mess this up like I always do. Okay, so tire's back on. It's back on the ground. For now, I ran the airline and the fill valve over the frame into here until I decide where to mount it. I gave myself a pretty decent amount of extra airline so I can mount it wherever. But the reason I'm going for about 2 inches is, if you look, if you can see, here, hold on. There we go. I am at about 26.5 in the back. In the front, I'm at about 27. That's better than it actually was before. But so I'll go like inch and a half. It won't be completely level, but my suspension will actually move. All right, I got my air bubble aired up, so I'm gonna grab that and then fill this and see what happens. All right, wish me luck, everybody. Oh, let's see what happens. crap, actual suspension. Air it up a little bit more and then measure it. Let's see here. We're now at about 27 and a half. And it actually has suspension. May leave it there. I may go a little bit higher, maybe all the way up to 28. Yeah, I'll go all the way up to 28, drive it, and see how it feels. Alright, back to this. I'll have to check the PSI as well, but still at 27 and a half. Maybe that's as high as they go. Definitely worked. Hold on, what's my air bubble at? Is that the problem? Maybe. Yeah, I think the air bubble's out of juice. Alright. Put cap back on. Plug the air bubble back in. See if we can't get maybe half an inch more out of it. Maybe half an inch more. See you guys in a minute. Alright, while the air bubble's airing back up, I'm gonna actually check the pressure. Hold on, sit on the ground for a second. Alright. Well, according to this, I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but it says we're just a smidge over 80. We're about 82. Now, being that I said do not run over 90, I'm gonna assume that's good. I'm gonna button stuff up here, take it around the block, take it on a little bit more bumpy roads, and see how it does. I will report back momentarily. What'd he say? There it is, almost all done. I gotta get air shocks in the back. That'll lift it a little bit, just so I still have a suspension. And one of the reasons I did it in the first place, I figured I might as well show them the bad influence, you know, which now looks higher than it did because it's got bigger rims and tires. You really do need tires. Yeah. Well, I took it around the block and it's better. I mean, it ain't cushy by any means. There's like a jolt, but then it slowly comes back down instead of just bouncing me around. And it's level now, or at least, well, about ½ inch off, I think is what I measured. But obviously you still feel it if like you hit a particularly big bump, but it's not bad. And I mean, compared to the fact that the shocks I had on it weren't doing anything, it might actually be better than it was, which is weird because I lowered it and it's supposed to get worse. But I got a few more things to do to button up. I got to bleed the brakes because we broke a brake line when we were messing with the axle and had to repair it, but now there's air in the lines. And then I believe tomorrow my sway bar end links are coming in. But I think for now that's about it as far as the Ranger goes. So all I will say is this has been Rust Rocket Nation. I have been Junior. Thank you guys for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Feel free. I knocked a bike over. Feel free to tell me I'm an idiot. I know. I'm trying to do better. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.